Ganga wants to know what happened. What happened? You said last time one boy didn't want to get married.
That was the name of the boy. Do you know the name of the boy?
He was Ganga's son.
Ganga's son. He was called Ganga Datta or Devavrata. And then when he took up the promise, made a big vow that he'll never marry, so that his mother and father are united. Satyavati, the daughter of the fisherman, gets married to his father Shantanu, and they live happily. And since her father wanted the son born to her to become the king, he had asked Ganga's son that he would sacrifice his happiness, and the Ganga's son immediately took a vow saying, I will never marry, only if I marry I'll get children. So I will not marry. For the sake of my father's happiness, I will not marry, he said. And that promise was such a big promise for a young boy to take, that even the gods came down blessing him, and they showered him with the name Bhishma. Bhishma is the spiritual name given to him because he had taken a terrible vow.
Wow! What do you say? What do you say? Are you alive? Are you sleeping?
Yeah, he's awake.
Are you listening a story?
Mushu is ready with the story.
So,
come on.
What happened next? Tell us, tell us.
Yes. And there were many years when Shantanu and Satyavati were very happy. They lived very happily. They had 2 sons born to them. They were called Chitrangada. The elder one was called Chitrangada. The younger one was called Vichitravirya. Now these 2 boys grew up very strong. The elder one was an enterprising person who can handle anything. He was like a leader. The younger one was a very strong bow and arrow warrior. So they had beautiful children. But fate did not allow them to live for long.
Why? What happened?
The elder one, when he was in his prime of youth, he had a rival in a Gandharva group. Gandharva is also the name of one of the celestial groups, semi-divine beings. That Chitrangada came to fight with this Chitrangada. There was a big war going on between the 2 boys. Both are named the same.
Who won?
Finally, alas, our Chitrangada, the son of Shantanu, was killed in the battle. In the prime of youth, he was killed in the battle, which went on for 2 to 3 years on the banks of Ganga. Now, calamity has fallen on the family. So once again, Bhishma rose up and he did the last rites for his father's stepbrother Chitrangada. And then, since Vichitravirya, the other younger son, was very small, for some years, his father in the meantime had passed away. Shantanu was no more. He had passed away. So it was left to Bhishma to take all the decisions for the kingdom. What did his mother do? Satyavati, what did she ask him? She said, you please be the trustee for some time till Vichitravirya grows up. And then Bhishma, as usual, took up the role of a trust member in that kingdom. And when Vichitravirya grew up, he was also very strong, very handsome, very good looking, and a leader, one who can lead the country. So now the next thing they have to have is marriage taken place for that Vichitravirya. And Bhishma only took up the job of finding brides for his stepbrother. Where did he go?
Where did he go to find a bride?
Yeah, he came to know of 3 girls of the king of Kashi, his daughters, 3 princes. They were having a Swayamvara. Swayamvara means the bride chooses her own husband among a group of assembled kings. Kings are invited by the father of that bride, and she has the freedom to choose her husband in that assembly. That is what you mean by Swayamvara. So, in olden days, they had such freedom. The girls were given such freedom. Nobody can force them to marry anybody. These girls they were ready for the Swayamvara. There were 3 daughters for that king of Kashi. They were called Amba, Ambika and Ambalika. All names starting with A. Amba, Ambika, Ambalika. All 3 girls were ready. Now, Bhishma, knowing that these 3 girls are there, he wanted to make them the wife of his stepbrother. He didn't want to marry them. No, he has taken a vow, right? I told you about the vow. He did not want any marriage. So, he went to the kingdom of Kashi to attend the Swayamvara, and in that Swayamvara, Bhishma is known for his great strength. And what did he do?
What did he do? No?
He took away all the 3 girls right in front of the assembled crowd,
Wow.
put them in his chariot and drove the chariot. What did he say? Do you know what he said?
What he said?
He challenged all the kings. See, I'm taking these 3 girls to get them married to my brother. If anybody has the strength or the courage, come and fight with me and take them. That was how in olden days there were people who took away the brides, and the brides, if they were willing, they went away with them. So this was totally freedom. Freedom for the bride or the bridegroom. Now the chariot was running. There were many kings who were dressed up as bridegrooms. They took away all their jewels, put on the armor for fighting, and they went behind Bhishma. Every one of them fighting. But Bhishma was too strong because he is trained by Ganga, right? He was such a good warrior that nothing could come and hit him at all.
He was the best warrior.
Of that period, he was undoubtedly the best warrior. And then finally, one strong king, Shalya, his name, he came forward and said, after me you take everybody. He came in front of Bhishma. The other kings who were there, they were little cowards. But when Shalya came forward, they took his inspiration and they also followed him. Shalya was totally routed in the battle by Bhishma. All his chariot, his horses, everything will hit. Finally, Bhishma allowed Shalya to remain alive. He took away all his weapons, but Shalya could not win over Bhishma. So Bhishma took away all the 3 brides to his kingdom. Hastinapura is his kingdom's name, I've told you. Remember that. And there, the wedding was getting ready. But then, among the 3 girls, the elder one, Amba, she came to Bhishma and said something. Do you
What
know
did
what?
she say? Listen carefully. What did she say?
She is a girl who is made her own choice. She wanted to marry that Shalya who was defeated.
Oh.
She told Bhishma, I had already wanted to marry him, and he also wanted to marry me. And my father had also agreed to that marriage. Now you have taken me away. I don't want to marry your brother, she said. Bhishma was a gentleman.
And what did Bhishma do?
He said, I am sorry for having gone against your wish. And then with gifts and everything, he sent her back to the kingdom. He didn't want her to get married to his brother. So Amba was sent away. And the other 2 girls, Ambika and Ambalika, were married to his stepbrother Vichitravirya. Now they lived very happily. The girls were also very happy because after all, Bhishma is a very strong person and very gentle also. That is why he was considered a great leader in his kingdom. And with the grandmother Satyavati there, they had a very beautiful life. The girls were very happy with Vichitravirya, and he also was very happy with his wives. Some years went by. But suddenly, Vichitravirya is not very physically strong man. Suddenly he developed some pain in his body, stroke-like pain, and that took away his life. He also died when he was in the prime of his youth. Alas, now the kingdom is left with nobody to rule in the next generation. They don't have children also. Ambika and Ambalika don't have children.
What is going to happen with the kingdom when there is no one to rule?
Right, that is a problem in every kingdom. Bhishma was once again faced with the problem. Satyavati is also once again faced with the problem of nobody to rule in the next generation. And if there is a kingdom which has nobody to rule in the next generation, immediately kingdoms around them will try to come and force their presence. They will invade them and take over their kingdom. That fear was always there. So Satyavati immediately called Bhishma and said, she begged him, why don't you marry these two girls? Since they don't have anybody to look after them, why don't you marry? But Bhishma was strong. He said, no, never, never.
Why? He took a vow.
He took a vow, right?
Can he break the vow?
He said, even if anything happens, I will never break my vow. Because I had taken it as a vow for my life. So throughout this life, I will not break the vow. He was so strong.
That means persistence. Huh?
Yes, that is persistence for me. Bhishma is known for his persistence. And that itself gave him a beautiful end also. That I'll tell you later on. Now, Satyavati did not know what to do. After some time, she thought of her eldest son, Vedavyasa. Do you know who Vedavyasa is? I told you in the beginning. Do you remember?
Who was Vedavyasa? Can you tell us again? Can you tell us, please?
Vedavyasa is the person who wrote the Mahabharata. He was an eyewitness for the whole story. He was there along with the Pandavas and Kauravas, who are the heroes of the story. And he lived with them. He knows the full story as an eyewitness. He has seen it. And it is he who composed the 100,000 verses of Mahabharata. I told you. Do you remember?
Was he the one who was writing with Ganesha?
Right. It was Vedavyasa narrating and Ganesha writing. Now, for you to understand who Vedavyasa is, he is also the son of Satyavati, the empress of Hastinapura. Do you know Shantanu married Satyavati? I told you. Earlier, before she came to meet Shantanu, once when she was going in the boat, I told you she was a fisherman's daughter. She was ferrying passengers from this part of the river to that part. One day, a sage by name Parashara. He meets her and he wants to marry her. So she agrees and they get married and they get a son. That son, they happen to live in an island. You know what an island is? A land surrounded by sea on all sides. So in that island, she got the child. And he was dark in complexion. So he was named Krishna Dvaipayana. That's the name of the son. Krishna means dark in color. Krishna is a name, not only you refer to the god Krishna, there are many people with the same name in that period. Because the name means somebody who is dark in complexion.
Right? Do you know that?
Now know it.
See, you can learn so many things.
Krishna, Dvaipayana means one who is belonging to an island. So, this dark boy from the island, he grew up. He was taken away by his father, and the father, who is a sage, a saint, brought up the son so beautifully that he was so well learned. He learned all the Vedas, Vedangas, rituals, everything he mastered, and he became an enlightened being. Vedavyasa is an enlightened soul. So, he became so well connected with everybody around. He happened to establish many ashrams, and he was the one. The Vedas were there. Many poems, lakhs of poems, crores of poems were there, and they were all jumbled up together. This Krishna Dvaipayana, after reading all the Vedas, he thought, I should make it orderly. I should make the Vedas in a certain sequence so that future generations can learn it easily.
So that you all can hear.
So, Vedavyasa codified the Vedas into different Vedas called Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharva Veda, And then he brought the different Upanishads belonging to the different Vedas together as a group. He made it. So he made it into groups. That is why he got the title Veda Vyasa. Vyasa means one who codifies. So Veda Vyasa, he is the one who's codified the entire Vedas. That is why he got the title Veda Vyasa. That's not his name actually, it's a title. His name is Krishna Dvaipayana. So this Veda Vyasa is also the son of Satyavati. So when Bhishma refuses to marry, immediately Satyavati thinks of her son. And that son is, I told you, an enlightened soul. Enlightened means one who has realized God consciousness, one who is one with God level. Immediately he appeared before her and asked her mother. He took blessings from his mother and asked her, Mother, what is it you want?
What did she say?
They were all in sorrow because the young prince Vichitravirya had died just then. Vedavyasa consoled them and said, What is it you want? Satyavati immediately told him, See, Vichitravirya has also died and Bhishma is refusing to marry because he's taken the vow. And these two girls, my daughter-in-laws, Ambika and Ambalika, do not have children. So there is nobody to rule in the next generation. Bhishma is not very young. He is in fact elder to Satyavati. Do you know that? He is almost 20 years elder to her.
Oh, so what happened next?
So what happens? Vedavyasa is an enlightened soul, right? He blesses the girls with a boon and he gives them 3 children. Ambika gets Dhritarashtra, a son. Ambalika gets a son by name Pandu, and one of Ambika's maidservant, she gets a son through the same blessing. Vedavyasa blesses all 3 of them, and the maidservant gets the son by name Vidura. So now there are 3 boys available to rule in the next generation, and immediately happiness comes back to the kingdom.
Everyone is so happy.
Right. And then Dhritarashtra was by birth blind. So a blind person cannot rule the kingdom according to ancient religious texts. So Dhritarashtra loses the chance of ruling that powerful Hastinapura, and it is left to the next son, Pandu, to rule the kingdom. Now these boys are growing up in a beautiful, happy atmosphere with Bhishma as a grandfather looking after them and strengthening them with all the teachings. And Satyavati, the grandmother, was also there to look after them. These 2 boys grew up beautifully. And the next thing, their childhood was very happy, but then they have to get married. To that, the lineage continues. That was one of the main reasons for all kings to get married to more than one lady. That was the reason. Because they needed children to look after the kingdom. It was not an easy job because one kingdom is always surrounded by many kingdoms which are enemies, ready to take over. So each one has to safeguard inside itself. That was one of the reasons why Bhishma was considered very powerful, because he never let anybody inside his kingdom. He looked after Hastinapura so well. He kept up his promise to his father that he will look after the kingdom to the end of his life. Shall I continue it later on? Yes, we'll continue with Dhritarashtra and Pandu growing up as big boys.
We want to know what is happening. We want to know.
Yes, I will tell you. I will tell you. Let's take a break, short break, and we'll come back.
We will come back and tell you what happened next.